Morning guys, Mike from Pattern Traders. It is Thursday, January 24th. I want to update you on BTC, but before I get into the details, I just posted on Twitter regarding the signals. I don't trade off the signals as a standalone, but they are a good indication as where trend could potentially be heading. Every single time we get a signal on the higher time frame between the 2 week and the 3 week, they give you a decent visual of where we could potentially be heading. On the 3 week, these signals have been giving us at least a 50% dump to the downside. You have to be a little cautious about it. I'm not saying we're going to get the same exact type of movement, but it's happened 3 times in the past. So in the event that it does happen again for the fourth time, you're looking at least bare minimum 20s. Anywhere between 22 to, if we fill the wick, say 20 to $22,000. No, I'm not telling you we're going there right now, but this is the idea that I have, that I wanted to talk to you guys before I get into the actual details of this current move. You have your last supply zone. Your last supply zone, which is going to be, let me write this down so you could actually see it. Last supply before all-time high. It's your last supply zone before all-time high. Chances are, if we get even remotely close above the $58,000 mark, we're gonna go to all-time highs for sure, right? We're not given, but you know what I'm saying. So it could definitely be that this particular sell signal will be short-lived, where we get a little bit of a move to the downside, similar to, where is my path? Here we go. Similar to the 35K range, 35, 36,000. Poke back up to retest, give us a higher low, and then collapse to the downside like this. I'm favoring this type of scenario overall in the next maybe about 6 months. I'm actually favoring this scenario, and the reason why I'm favoring this scenario is because we're gonna have to get a massive high time frame reset in the next like maybe 2 or 3 months. Like right now, these oscillators and these indicators still look very good, because the most important indication is on the weekly time frame. Your trend line, which is blue, is still pointing to the top side. So we are relatively somewhere around here, pointing to the top side, right? We're not in a downtrend slope where you should be worried. And all you got to actually just visualize is, if you turn everything off and you just have your trend line on, get rid of everything, which is going to be your trend indicator, you're pointing up north. You are very bullish. The minute you start curving to the downside the way you did over here, this whole thing was distribution, because all we were doing was just going to the downside. Obviously, every single time the trend line crosses to the bottom, it's a buy signal, right? But get rid of this. If you want more history to see exactly what took place, like on a Binance chart, or I mean Bitstamp chart, this is how it looks on a Bitstamp chart, right? Again, trend line. As long as you're crossing to the top side, yeah, we are on log. Let me close the signals so that it could be a little bit cleaner. As long as you're crossing to the top side with the trend line like this, and you're pointing up, you're in a very bullish environment, right? Constantly going. The minute you cross to the top side, once you cross the black and you start going sideways, you have to be worried. We're not even there yet. We're not even there yet, right? So we are still high time frame bullish. I expect overall prices to go to the top side, further up. Let me reset this because we don't need nonsense. Reset. Okay. Now regarding everything else on the 3-day and the 2-day, everything looks freaking beautiful. Though the 2-day has bottomed out completely on the MSTX, right? All you're looking for is basically a kind of a over under, a retest of all these other lines, which relatively should do this, right? And then everything else has bottomed out as well. You have the RSX in the 2-day that's already algo firing. I'm pretty sure the daily is doing, there we go. The daily is already doing its double poke. I like what I see. Price action wise, guys, price action wise, order block and FVG. Order block and FVG. That's all you need right now for the time being. Order block and FVG. We have filled the daily FVG and tapped. Oh, we didn't tap the daily order block yet, but we have filled the daily FVG at roughly about 38.6. Again, guys, keep in mind, whenever you have an order block and an FVG tied together, there is a significant probability of price gravitating towards that level. I'm not telling you this is the bottom, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to do something like this, and then just chop around in this particular range. This is going to be the biggest indication. I don't know what's going to happen after this, but this is going to be the biggest indication. I've posted this many times. This daily daily FEG will be the biggest indication of what happens to the BTC. If we can get above this daily FEG and not collapse and go back down here, she's gonna go up to $58,000, right? More so than likely. The biggest test is not what happens here. The biggest test is what happens here. When you have an over/under on price, an over/under is basically an FU candle where you have your resistance, you have your resistance, you have your resistance, then you have a breakout, trap all the longs, and then you collapse back under and create a fair value gap like you did over here. In a typical FX pattern for price action, that is very bearish. So when you go back up to retest it, everybody's shorts, and that is a daily short. A daily short's going to give you at least a 20% dump, right? So if you're looking at a 20% dump from here, you're cracking some like 30K levels. So I don't even want to see that. So I don't know how to predict 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line, but looking at this structure right here, based on the daily time frame, any move back up between 43,000 and 45.5 will be the depicting factor if we're going to go back up to make a new high between $52,000 and $58,000. That's it. It's like you could do anything you want in this particular range down here, but the minute you get up here, you need to maintain a higher low, which means what? If you delete everything and you just put on just 2 lines, let's put this one line over here, and then just put this other line at the top of the FEG, right? That's going to be your FEG. This is going to be the equilibrium of the FEG, and normally if you're bearish, you don't get above the equilibrium. EQ of daily FEG. If you're bearish, you do not get above the 50% line of the FEG. Keep that in mind. That's all you need. Turn everything else off. Turn this off and just watch what happens when we get up to this line. Are we going to end up doing something along the lines of this? Hold on. You want to also do your typical SR flip. Your typical SR flip over here, guys, is going to be $41,000, right? Let's make this red because this is like the most important, closest level to you. Point of interest, POI, SR flip. So this is going to be your 41K level, which you need to make sure that you get above before you could even talk about 44s. So what happens now? We're stuck under here. I don't mind it. Let's sit here. Let's sit here for all we want. Let's sit here for like a week, just so we can consolidate and actually create some kind of momentum. Put a box below for a wick in case we get a wick down here under your wick, right? So what could possibly take place right now? Right there, something along the lines of us just jerking off over here and then flipping that and going up there. This is very realistic, guys, where we spend like a week down here consolidating, reaccumulating, whatever you want. It's a daily time frame, so it could take literally 5 days of just doing nothing down here. And the most important thing is what's going to happen when we get up to that equilibrium of the daily FEG. If we don't, usually when you have an impulse move to the top side like this, you create a fair value gap. Keep that in mind, guys. You're going to create like a fair value gap somewhere here. Let's make this bullish FEG when it comes, right? When you do an impulse to the top side, right? When you do an impulse like this to the top side, you're going to get an FEG to the downside. That's going to be bullish. And that's going to be all done because of this bullish candle. And then all you want to do is this. Get rid of everything else. You don't need the 0.5. Actually, you do need the 0.5, guys. Get rid of everything. You don't need this. You don't need that. You do need this. You don't need this. And that's it. This is your typical FX play, man. Your typical FX play that takes place on the lower time frame, whether it's a 15-minute time frame or a daily time frame. You have consolidation that will take place over here. You have a wick into liquidity down here. Impulse move to the top side. Reject at a high time frame level of point of interest, which is going to be probably the equilibrium of the daily fair value gap. Again, use your FEG indicator, guys. It populates it for you. If this is too complicated for you, highlight remaining gap, and then also do show gap zone. Put the gap zone on so you could actually see this whole thing is a fair value gap, right? And then on the downside, when you come back to retest it, you want to assume that the bullish FEG, wherever it's formed based on the candle that takes place, it's called the impulse candle. That will be your buy into this. That is what I'm expecting in a bullish case. This exact thing I'm expecting in a bullish case. Now, what happens if we break everything and we just collapse to the downside? I technically do not think that this right here is a significant area that price is going to actually stabilize in. We had ascending levels of supports that just kept the higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. And these are all weekly candles. If you go back to where is this indicator? Where is it? Where is it? High low, and you open up the weekly high and the weekly low, make them orange, go on to the 4 hour, go back to this level. Look at this. It's all weekly lows, man. It's crazy, right? Sorry, I didn't mean that. None of the weekly lows got taken, guys. These are all weekly lows. None of them got taken. They're all higher lows, which is extremely bullish. But when you come to revisit this, that means that you have to restabilize and create support somewhere here, right? So I don't know. I'm playing this as we just broke structure to the downside. We literally just broke structure to the downside. This is your SR flip. Get above that $41,000 level. And then we could talk about the fair value gap up here between $44,000 and $45,000. And the most important depicting factor is what happens when we come back down. Are we going to stop and we're going to bid the bullish fair value gap, or are we going to collapse and actually head down to retest this type of price action? But I want to also show you this on the higher time frame on a weekly. Let me see where it happened again. I think it was over here. Look what happened here. Hold on. I think it was here. I was doing this before. Yeah, it was here. Same thing over here. Let's close this. It was this right here. Same thing happened here. Right? No, I'm not even going to draw that, but oops, sorry. We had ascending supports the whole September. Ascending supports the whole September. And then we just blew up. And we never revisited this area. Right? So I don't know what's going to happen here, guys. I really genuinely do not know. I don't have a oh, I'm confident this is going to happen. All I know is that when we go back up to retest the daily fair value gap, it's going to be the most important retest that we're going to do. Once we get above this fair value gap on the daily and we retest this right here, if we cannot put in a higher low, she's going to dump. And likely, man, look, there's no price. There's absolutely no price action below here, man. This is like the last line in the sand. This structure over here is the last line in the sand. So anything below 30,000 for me is a gift. Anything close to 30,000 is a gift. 32,000 is a gift. BTC for me obviously is going to go a lot higher. Higher time frame trend is still up. All the oscillators look absolutely beautiful on the higher time frame. I'm not worried one bit. If you look at the monthly on a Bitstamp chart, RSX has not fired yet. I don't care what anything else tells me. As long as the RSX has not fired red yet, I'm still macro bullish. Every single time the RSX has fired red, it's been giving us a little bit of a dump, regardless of how much it is. When it fired red over here, it gave us, I don't know how much, I think it was like a 40, 50% dump. What am I saying? 75% dump. Then over here it fired. This was the 40, I think, percent, right? I don't know. One of them was like a 40% dump. I did it before. Yeah, this was the 40% dump that it gave us. Obviously, these are tops, so I don't care about them. And then this over here, this gave us a roughly about, I think it was the Elon dump, right? If I'm not mistaken, it was the Elon dump. This gave us a 58% dump. We're not ready yet, so I'm not worried. Yes, the MSTX is red, but this is also very bullish down here. So even though it's red, likelihood is it's going to come down, poke another second time and retest this. This is red, but I'm not worried. RSX, guys, RSX on the monthly is the most important one. That's all you have to worry about right now for the higher time frame. The candle looks very ugly, but you know they do that all the time, so they could actually trick you. If you open up the order block indicator, go to your 2-week. Look how it looks. You literally tapped a 2-week supply zone, took liquidity, right? The red is the supply zone, took liquidity, and you just You created the ugliest shooting star type of candle. And normally when you see something like this, you're like, oh my God, guys, we're going to go to the nearest support level, which is going to be $31,000. Technically speaking, that is correct. You were absolutely right, but I don't think it's going to go that far. This is definitely some kind of indication that we took liquidity. We have to reconsolidate, I guess, let's just say reaccumulate rather, and then go further up. I can't see BTC collapsing without going all the way up here to retest $58,000. $58,000 to me is like, you got to go retest it, right? 58,000, 62, 50, I think it was 58 to like 63 or something like that. Hold on, let me see, where is it? The daily time frame had it. Where is it? No, or was it the 3-week that had it? There we go, 3-week had it. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. So I usually take the bottom of the order block and then the equilibrium of the order block. So these two levels right here. The equilibrium is the middle part of the order block. So I was right. Yeah, 56 to $62,000. Line on the sand before all-time highs. I think that she is going to, politely speaking, screw every bullish guy out there and then just run up. I'm not bearish at all yet, guys. You know? And even if you delete everything and just turn everything off, you see this green candle? It's a mitigation block. Mitigation blocks are blocks that were flipped from bullish to bearish and bearish to bullish. So as long as we could actually maintain possession above this, support, resistance, resistance, break above, impulse up. If we do happen to come back down here, that's your support, guys. It's not going to break off the first attempt. Even if you go all the way down here to $31,000, it's not going to break off the first attempt. Trade safe, guys. Cheers. I have a lot of it that I want to discuss regarding the altcoins. A lot that I'm, like, for example, real quick, DOT, right? DOT is probably going to be, DOT and SOL are going to be probably predominantly my biggest alt bags. And I want you to understand why. DOT didn't take liquidity. Look at this. It's a weekly bearish order block, the supply zone at 9.68. It didn't take it, which to me shows that even if I dollar cost average, basically DCA, down all the way down here, and I just keep collecting, keep collecting, keep collecting, I just keep averaging down. I'm going to start at the wicks. I didn't buy yet, but I'm going to start buying. Any move from here back up to the high is 70%. Any move from here back up to the high is 100%. And this to me is guaranteed, man. Like you don't leave a high like this on a high time frame order block and not go back and take it. So if you want, this is not financial advice. Me, the way I think, if I want a high probability trade where I could just throw some spot and walk away and not have to think about it, I'm doing DOT. Now when it comes to SOL, SOL is probably going to be my main big bag, because I still think that we have to go for this liquidity, and I'm pretty positive we're going to go to 144. This is like just too obvious for me, right? We did stop at the obvious over-under. Remember what I told you guys? Whenever you see an over-under with price action, we usually go for the actual trap, same as BTC, right? Look what happened. The trap stopped right there. You could even take it over here. Doesn't matter where you take it, but at least you stopped right there. And we took liquidity off the actual trap itself up here. Same thing with SOL, man. SOL liquidity is sitting at 142. So any longs in this weekly order block, I already bought SOL, but this is going to be a multi-month hold for me. Any longs between 79 and 63 for me are guaranteed to go up, double up, because from here to the top, 79%, equilibrium to the top, 100%, bottom of the wick, which is the liquidity, to the top, 120%. I'm averaging it. I'm averaging down. Guys, hope this made sense. Cheers. Hope everybody's safe. DM me if you need anything. Again, high time frame, fair value gap, order block. If you see them together, they're gonna act like magnets, guys. Cheers.